We are back with Dr. Kate Edifa with the Tim and Carolyn Rice Center for Child and Adolescent Health. So we're talking about back to school, and when it comes to heading back to school, just how important is it for that good night's rest? I know how important it is for me as an adult. Kids seem to bounce back faster, but even still, just how important is it?
Yes, adequate sleep is important for children as well, even though they do seem to bounce. Studies have shown that children who get enough sleep have healthier immune systems, better school performance, improved behavior, and mental health outcomes. And depending on the child's age, there may be different requirements for sleep. Grade school children typically need about 9 to 12 hours of sleep, whereas teenagers need 8 to 10, which is closer to your adult normal amounts. Sleep deprivation in children may show signs of irritability, difficulty concentrating, and in the long term can even lead to health problems. So it's very important to focus on getting enough sleep for your children.
All right, so, this is always the struggle at the end of summer every single year. If parents haven't started that back to sleep schedule yet, what should they do? How can they do it? How can they make it less painful for everyone involved?
Yes, certainly. Many children and families may have gotten on a different summer schedule during this time, and getting back on your school schedule is important. In general, gradually making adjustments over a few days to weeks is going to be less painful and easier for your child to achieve. I generally recommend making adjustments to both the bedtime and the waking time over the several days or weeks before going back to school.
Yeah, if not, you can at least start it now. It's better than that whole going cold turkey on that first night and then just hoping you get through that first week. All right, so what are the do's and the don'ts for that healthy sleep routine for kids? We have those for adults as well, but kids, I'm sure, is probably just a little different.
Yeah. So, and these things can definitely help with getting back on schedule as well. Having a consistent bedtime routine, I think, is the most important. And depending on your child's age, it may include different things getting ready for bed. Usually brushing teeth, bathing, reading a book are all great activities to include in that bedtime routine. Additionally, you should note that turning off the electronics is very important for children being able to fall asleep. And I typically recommend turning those electronics off at least 2 hours before the bedtime.
2 hours, and that's a big deal because a lot of them, sometimes they're doing their homework on it or they're talking to friends. They're not necessarily looking at videos or whatever. They're still talking to friends, but still it's that blue light in their face, the 2 hours before.
Exactly.
All right, so getting out the door in the morning, it can be tough. Sometimes that is the toughest part of the day. Is it okay, because we're in a rush, to either skip breakfast, grab a donut, that kind of thing?
Oh, I certainly understand. Morning routines are definitely hectic in my household, but eating a healthy, balanced breakfast is going to give the children the energy and focus that they need to learn throughout the school day. And that means trying to include fruits and vegetables where possible in breakfast, and especially a protein source in the morning. If your mornings are difficult and chaotic like mine, you might consider preparing some healthy options ahead of time to have quick at the ready in those busy mornings.
You got any thoughts on that? I'm thinking, the cheese sticks, those are easy, right? And that's a protein.
Yeah. Greek yogurt, high protein cereals, peanut butter is a big hit in my house. Lots of different options.
Okay. So now, of course, we're always concentrating on COVID-19 because that is our life these days. What about COVID-19 and keeping kids healthy do we need to keep in mind?
Well, for children aged 12 and older, they're currently eligible to receive a COVID-19 vaccine. And it's important to remember that these vaccines are safe and effective for the ages approved. So I would recommend that parents seek out those vaccinations for their children where they're able. It's also important to be sure to follow any guidelines there are for masking and physical distancing wherever your child will be throughout the day. Masks for children need to be a little different than masks for adults, so making sure it's appropriately sized to cover their nose and mouth and comfortable enough for them to be able to wear during the time that they need to wear it.
All right, all good things to keep in mind. Thank you so much for joining us for today as everybody's heading back to school, getting back into that schedule. If you missed any of this, we're going to put it all on our website, WFMYnews2.com.